Morning, everyone. Happy to see all of you back again. Happy to be back. And welcome to today's Founders Conversation, May edition, Marketing Strategies Across Borders. So my name is Kathy Karaoke, Coordinator with Founders Profit Academy, FPA, which is a community within SME Founders Association. At FPA, we help business owners grow, scale, and thrive through our specialized coaching framework. In my role, I support our licensed training coaching programs where we provide the tools and support entrepreneurs to reach their full potential. Today, we're excited to dive into a critical topic for SMEs, which is using social media to drive sales across Africa. So, in today's digital age, social media is not just a tool for connection, it is a powerful engine for business growth. Across Africa, entrepreneurs, SMEs, and large brands are harnessing platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and WhatsApp to reach customers, build trust, and scale their businesses like never before. As we dive into today's conversation, we will explore strategies, challenges, and innovative approaches that businesses can use to convert engagement into revenue. We'll discuss the power of content, influencer marketing, paid advertising, and emerging trends that are shaping the future of social commerce in Africa. So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or an established business looking to optimize your digital footprint, this session will provide valuable insights to help you navigate and thrive in the social media-driven marketplace. So let's get started. I'll give you a recap of the previous weeks where we had a conversation on one was overcoming your regional challenges, and then there's also building strategic partnerships for market expansion. So some of the nuggets that the speaker shared with us was, remember that marketing perspectives also need to have gathered enough information so that you're able to make the right business decision. Another nugget was, remember that culture is very strong in Africa and it permeates consumer behavior, language preferences, and therefore, as an SME, there's the need to develop the customization strategy for your product or services. Remember also to leverage on partnerships through different associations in your home country and targeted countries, such as professional, trade, industry association. And the last thing she also mentioned to us was looking at sustainability for your product, which means staying innovative, owning your identity, staying consistent in its growth, looking at how the value add happens when it happens, looking at how you can also improve your packaging, and looking at how to keep your consumers engaged. So I'm thrilled to introduce to you our speaker for today, Barbara Kingori. So let me take you through her bio. So Barbara Kingori is an expert who empowers businesses through coaching and strategic marketing. She is a game changer and entrepreneur marketing leader with over 14 years of impressive track record of driving strategy and execution to build revenue and executing successful market development programs with well-established companies. She has a talent for developing consistent, powerful brand messaging across distribution channels in regional and global markets and various customer segments. She's also an expert at developing and executing innovative marketing strategies that look at maximizing profit and increasing market share. Barbara is also passionate about helping small and medium-sized enterprises enhance their competence, navigate compliance requirements, and gain access to capital for sustainable growth. Help me in welcoming Barbara today. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
I was supposed to come with it was not a tongue twister. It
Mm-hmm.
was a, I remember now, I've forgotten where I noted, but I'll just ask you out of the blue,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think you'd see if you're in NASA up there? What is the one of the man-made features you'd see down on Earth?
If I'm in NASA, the Rift Valley, is it one of them?
Yes.
Yay! I definitely want to see an aerial view of the Rift Valley. That
No.
is because even just there at Naivasha, it
Well, let
just
me tell you
seems.
what you're going to see.
Uh-huh.
No, you can't see that. You can't see
What
that. Most people say, yeah, most people say the pyramids of Egypt, and others say the Great Wall of China.
is it?
Apparently not. Yeah, it's a place
So
in
what can you?
Spain.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a place in Spain. They call it the Sea of Plastic. So greenhouses, 14,000 hectares of greenhouse covered with plastic. I know. Growing fruits and vegetables for the European market. So I've given you something.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
We gotta eat.
I'm like, what? And where the world has such beautiful places to see, that's what you see.
Yes,
My
that's what you
goodness.
see. Yeah,
That
yeah.
is sad. That is sad, guys. That's sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, goodness.
So, karibu sana to our topic. So, using social media to drive sales across Africa. So,
Um,
let's think about the strategy and market trends.
mm,
So, having been in the space for quite a while, so
mm,
what key social media platforms have
mm.
businesses in Africa been focusing on to maximize sales?
Um, I think, uh, and I think you mentioned them at the beginning. Like other platforms haven't really changed, except
Yeah.
maybe the new ones. They've been coming on in Transfert. Facebook is still has the biggest market share, and mostly,
Mm.
let's say, Facebook Marketplace. So Facebook Marketplace is still a space where e-commerce. I mean, you can do your
Mm.
e-commerce, you can create your shop, um, and it still has the largest numbers
Oh.
across Africa. But also, it depends on your target audience. But let's start with, as an SME, first you need to know who your target audience is and where and which platform they are on social media. I think let's start with that, because as you well know, as much as I'm saying Facebook still has the largest number, the audience that is very interactive there will be older. So if your products are for older generation and that's who you're targeting, then they are likely to find them more active on Facebook than any other platform. Then we know there's still WhatsApp business, and I think WhatsApp
Mm.
business cuts across everyone. I don't think WhatsApp business is has an age thing, because both young and old still use WhatsApp, and there's a lot of WhatsApp shops and WhatsApp business accounts. So there, it cuts across. We have Instagram. I think Instagram is highly millennial or highly mid age audience that use it for shopping and for looking at products. And so it's essential, as a business, to know if that's your target audience and these are the people you want to purchase your products, you need to be available and present and visible on Instagram. Then, of course, we have TikTok, which is massive, massive with the younger generation. We do have older generation people coming on board, coming into the platform, like across. It's amazing
Yeah.
how, I think for me, TikTok is the first platform I have seen cut across even into rural, and it's being really utilized as a
Oh.
platform. It's quite interesting. But yeah, TikTok, people people are using it as a search engine. So you need, first of all, to have an account on TikTok. So people are no longer using Google. People are on TikTok searching for products. So at least even just having an account and being listed is quite important. And then also, people list TikTok shops where people are now selling. Same. It's an e-commerce kind of platform, and people are buying from TikTok, and shops are selling through TikTok. So I think, and that with the younger audience, especially if you're trying to target the 18, let's say 18 to 30, you will definitely find your audience there. And yeah, I think, and for TikTok, it's the creativity, it's how to demonstrate how your product works, following trends and trying to drive traffic. For Instagram, you really need to focus on imagery, how taking nice, beautiful pictures of your product, because Instagram is a very visual platform. And it's very good for, let's say, fashion and home, because those are the ones that take very nice pictures. And you can demonstrate how you can put a flower vase, or some cushions and stuff like that. So Instagram is very good when you're trying to entice. And I think the majority of the people who buy on Instagram are women. And so focusing on that space, if that's the space you're in, it's a very good space. So very visual things that attract the eye. I think WhatsApp is great because it really cuts across, because it uses very little data, and they're so um, everyone, essentially majority, let's say like Kenya has penetration of what, around 80 percent of internet penetration, and smartphone, and people have some form of WhatsApp. So WhatsApp business is also a great problem, and it's growing in terms of selling. We are seeing businesses report that WhatsApp business is actually a platform now that they can sell, and actually make profit from, which is incredible. And as I said, Facebook Marketplace still have your numbers, especially if your audience is the older generation. Yeah.
You didn't tell me something about our dear Bluebird.
Ah, our blue. I think I forgot. All right. So there's also, I think, so two other platforms. Let's talk about other platforms. So there's LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is very specific for B2B. If you're looking for an audience of people looking for business products, if you're doing, let's say, SaaS, software as a service, if that's your product, or if you're selling things direct to a business, I think LinkedIn is a perfect space for you to be on, to have a page as your business, and also maybe to run a few ads targeted to your audience. Because I feel business people are on LinkedIn searching for solutions and something that is linked. What your mindset when you're at LinkedIn is mostly very business oriented, and so finding information and content around products and things you'd need in your business, that's where you'd actually make a conscious choice to either look at it or purchase or ask more. So I think LinkedIn, if you're selling from a B2B business, definitely works. Um, Last but not least, we have X. X platform. I think this X is a very delicate platform, and I think across Africa. And I think you really need, because you it's very conversational. And here I think people mostly, it's like mostly like inquiries and conversation, because you can't really showcase much. It limits you in terms of what you can do. But people can ask questions about maybe how to use a product or what the product is about. And so it really needs you, first of all, to be very fast, and also to be very conversational, to respond to queries, to respond to any issues. So definitely it's a good platform, especially if your product is very techy or needs a lot of explaining and things like that, because now people will come and say maybe this is what they're struggling with or something like that. Maybe you can walk through that. But I would say on X, you'd need to be extremely careful with, your conversations and what you partake in, because it can be a platform where 1 minute it's very sensitive to brand image and everything. So you need to be extremely careful, I think, because of the the conversations that take place, especially on X. Given the situations, maybe across most countries, I think X is more of a political platform, and
Mm-hmm.
people to kind of it's the new, what do you call it? I say it's the new. The people used to talk in baraza. It's the new baraza. Those ones having
Mm-hmm.
barazas. I think X is a new community baraza, and maybe if your products are focused around community building and what you're doing for the community, I think it's a good platform because that's where you find people having those discussions. So yeah, it's a platform not to be ignored, but can be you use it with knowing what, like, just have a purpose of why you're using X, not just use it for the sake of using it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very, very insightful. So I was looking at
Mm.
YouTube. So YouTube, I was surprised that they say that the highest number of users of YouTube users in Africa is actually Egypt.
Interesting.
Interesting, yeah. Egypt, and then of course Nigeria and South Africa.
Mm, that's interesting. Yeah, I think YouTube is a great platform for ads, for sure, for
And
you
I
to
didn't
run
expect. I
ads.
thought it was the other way. You remember when we were having the conversation and we were talking, we're thinking about. Yeah, but I think it got me thinking. Now when they've said that,
Mm,
remember when we were talking about the culture in our first conversation when we we're talking about culture.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very kind of interesting and something to for us to. We're going to research
Yeah.
more on the same and just see what we
Mm,
can actually get from that because that's an interesting bit.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think since we always go back to
Um,
researching.
and that comes into our next question.
Mhm.
Yeah, 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 for sure. That comes to our next question. Probably you can share some consumer behaviors that probably.
Right. Looks like we've lost Kathy there. Let's give her a minute to come back.
Sorry about that. We fell off the face of the internet.
No worries.
Okay, we jump in quickly to the question we had.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to probably share some consumer behaviors you have observed on social
Mm.
media that differ across African regions, and how should businesses adopt their approach?
Um, I think as we keep mentioning, Africa is every country is different in how they do things. And let's say we can speak to, like Kenya, especially, and maybe East Africa, but let's speak to Kenya, where, you know, a lot of sales is happening mobile fast. It's not happening on laptop. It's a lot of mobile. Then there's the use of M-Pesa as a source of how you pay for your goods. There's also elements of kind of like trust where there is payment on delivery. Um, so people want to see their products before they pay for what they pay for the services. So there also, as a business, you kind of have to be, what do you call it? Like you'd have to build that trust with the consumer. So you're taking what they bought is what they're going to see, so that they're able to pay. There's also a lot of, and I think as I'd mentioned, you find segments, and I think for me, TikTok in Kenya is it's amazing how that platform has really grown, especially from an e-commerce perspective, and how many shops are on TikTok and how many people are actually buying on TikTok. And I have conversations with people, and they're like they've moved from Instagram, they are now buying on TikTok. It's very interesting. So you find most majority of the small businesses that were highly or selling on Instagram now have to kind of move into TikTok. And because as I had mentioned, TikTok is now people where people are searching products. So it's become the Google. So people search, find products, and most likely will finish the consumer journey on the platform. And so as a business, you need to be aware when you as a business, first of all, you have to consistently research what and look at what's happening with your audience and where they purchasing from. And that's why you need to be testing all the different platforms. And I think in Kenya we see especially that big rise in TikTok use as an e-commerce platform. So that is something, if you're in Kenya, then definitely something you need to be doing and looking at. And also payment methods for purchases through social media. Kenya is M-Pesa, heavily on M-Pesa. And so maybe you find in countries like West Africa where mobile money is now, when it's growing, it's not maybe at the stage where M-Pesa is, then you need to find, okay, so what is the most trusted method of right? Let's give Kathy a minute.
I used to do that.
I'm here. Yeah.
Sorry. Now I've changed. I hope now I'm not going to fall off.
Good, good.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. So as I was saying, maybe country where regions like West Africa, where now you can see
Yes,
mobile
continue.
money payment methods. You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, in West Africa, mobile money is growing. It's a growing thing. It's
I can
probably
hear
as a
you.
start.
Mm.
Yeah. So as I was saying, so maybe regions like West Africa where maybe mobile money is what is growing now, it may not be the most established, or maybe the way that they pay, because sometimes you see them, they pay direct to a bank account. Using the different platforms, it's not like M-Pesa to number. It's mobile, but it's direct to a bank account, not to a number. So those nuances, especially when you're selling and trusted payments. And also you find maybe that country people prefer, maybe there's a culture of you must pay before delivery, or you pay on delivery. So depending on maybe the region, maybe urban towns will be able to accept payment before delivery, because maybe they know where the shop is and all these things. But if you're more rural, you'll be like, I want to see the product, I don't even know how to contact you if there was a problem. So it's also going there and looking at the nuances of how people work, and just knowing, because overview will say in West Africa, which is their platform, where do they go to purchase. So if as I said, if it's Instagram that's heavy on purchasing from an e-commerce perspective, then make sure you're there. And so you'll see maybe like South Africa is a very well developed, Southern Africa is a very well developed market in terms of e-commerce. It's very structured in terms of online. There's a lot of people have invested in websites. So you'll find that there's a lot of structure. And so you also have to go there with a bit of structure. You can't just go there and try and do things differently. You know, and in the countries where it's French speaking, so you also need to make sure that your content is French, uh, is they need it's French content is critical. You need to find a way of how you're going to sell to them in French, because majority don't understand English. But we're seeing also the advent of change. They're moving away from making French their official language. So you see, you also have to keep up with the trend and say, oh, okay, now the government, like this, they're moving away from making French a national language. So how do you also adapt? You might find, in a country, maybe Facebook groups and marketplaces is where it happens when you're trying to sell. It's not on Instagram or IG. So I think all in all, there's still a lot of research. Even for us marketers, if we are trying to create for your strategy, we have to still go to do research and find out which country, what's happening in which country, what am I selling, who's my target audience, and where are they being found. There's always that process that you need to do as an organization or as an SME. Like who am I targeting? Who's my target audience first? Where are they being found on social media? Which platform? And then how do I get to them? And what content will they consume, and what will make them purchase? There's always that thread. So if you follow those 3 steps, whichever country you're going to, and you will most likely then be able to adopt to or adapt to what is happening. So always ask yourself, who is my target audience in this country? Where are they being found, on which social media platform? And on that social media platform, how do they consume content? How do they purchase? And how are we going to be able to get to them? So those are the things that you always need to focus on when you look at consumer behavior in an organization. Look at the consumer. Where are they being found? Where do they purchase? Because they might be on Facebook, but they purchase on Instagram. So
Wow. Okay.
Facebook is where you put your ads, and then take them to Instagram to shop. Or they scrolling through Instagram, but they purchase on WhatsApp. So have you put a link to WhatsApp to go to WhatsApp? So you have to really look at the consumer behavior, study it, and understand what's that consumer journey, and how at what point there's a point of awareness. So where do you put your awareness content? There's a point of purchase. So where do you put that content where people now are ready to purchase? So I think consumer behavior is like you really need to deep dive whichever region, because we can talk from an overall or bigger statistics, but you need to go deeper and find out who specific, because this one we are talking overall, Kenyans are on TikTok, or people are on Facebook, Instagram. But if you look at your target audience, you can get data. There's a lot of free data that's online, and you find where do people purchase. If it's specific products, you might find some platforms, as I was saying, Instagram, very visual products. People tend to kind of want to purchase through there because the pictures are amazing and you can see what you're getting. And as TikTok, maybe people want tech things because you can do I don't know. It's consumers are very interesting. Do research on your consumer. Look at how your consumer journey is for your consumer. Where do they go to look? Where do they search? Where do they find? So that's awareness. When they are trying to do comparisons, where do they go to compare products? And then at the end of it all, where do they purchase? So you need to follow them and see then how to structure your content across.
Oh, very good. I like that. So coming down to one of our questions still on the role that influencer marketing has played so far in driving sales across across the different African markets?
Um, I think influencer marketing is a powerful tool that you can definitely use to, especially when you're trying to drive awareness of your product and maybe use of a product. If a product has to be, kind of people to be showed how to use it, or to make people aware. And this also is very, it's also interesting to see that maybe different regions have a different perspective of influencers. So you find, maybe a country like Nigeria, they have, you find even as big as movie stars can be influencers. So it's interesting. They look at, they feel the bigger, you know, the influencer, the more maybe they can trust them, because this person has a lot to lose, in terms of their career and everything. And so you find, especially lifestyle influencers, you'd have to kind of look at and invest in someone who's seen as generally their lifestyle is this, and you would need to kind of move in that space. Um, there's a growth of micro influencers. They don't have a big following, but the people they follow are very, sorry about that. The people they follow are very, they trust them. And these ones you find now, they don't have big numbers, but they convert more. So also as a business, you need to figure, first you start, what budget do you have, and then where can you go? Um, but as I said, so there's the big influencers who are massive. And those ones you need big budgets to, of course, get into them. But in some countries, you find maybe those are the influencers that are really decent to, and people come up with. But I think for SMEs, if you focus maybe on the micro influencers who are very niche, but their audiences, as I was saying, really, really trust them. And so it because most of the time these are products they use on a day to day. You find micro influencers is people who these products are in their life on a day to day, and so it's something they would utilize every day, and that's where the trust comes. So let's say, a niche, a micro influencer who has natural hair, and you sell natural hair products. So of course, it's someone who will utilize this product on a day to day basis. It won't seem fake, it will seem genuine, because they actually are using these products. They have natural hair, and they're selling natural hair products. If it's, someone who's, tech influencer, it's someone who talks about tech and everything. And of course, you're selling maybe tech products, and people know this person always talks about tech. It feels aligned. So also as a business, you need to find influencers that people will see, oh, okay, this is aligned to what this person has on a day-to-day. It builds trust. It's not those ones for, the influencer today is selling this soap, tomorrow they're selling the other soap, the other day they're very selling the other soap. People don't trust that influencer. And as SMEs, you have to be very careful, because you don't have much budget to splurge around influencers. So you have to be very careful when you're choosing an influencer. Make sure it's someone who, can drive that connection and that believability and that brand loyalty, for your brands. And then also there's this rise in, influencers having quote unquote marketplaces, where you pay the influencer a small fee, and then they'll advertise on their IG stories. I think mostly it's on IG, their stories and their reels. Their stories,
Yeah.
they'll kind of advertise and put your number and place. So there's a rise in that. And you see businesses getting some conversions, that especially if, as I said, if, someone has a big following, so they'll definitely be seen. So that one is more of, awareness and getting people to know about your business. So it's a good driver for awareness, because the budget is small, but you're able to be seen by a lot more people than you would have if you were doing anything else. So also that's a good angle influence you can take from influencer marketing. It doesn't have to be that the influencer is, especially if it's a big influencer, you can't afford them. It's a good way to get into that space, because you just get into their marketplace and pay for marketplace, and then you are seen by many more people. It's kind of like advertising. It's a way of kind of doing your advertising. So that's another way. But I think key for me when I tell businesses is make sure the influencer is aligned to what you're selling, and it is and can build um, loyalty and believability. If you're going to spend the money on getting an influencer, don't just get an influencer because you will not see the results. People are becoming very aware that influencers are just selling, quote unquote. And so you have to be very careful that the partnership you have with this influencer is
Yeah.
very natural. Yeah. So I always advise, let it be a natural relationship. Let it be products that they use on a daily, and consumers have already seen them talking about that kind of content. It's not outside, not someone who used to speak about this. What do you say? Um, Now, what do you call it? Let's just go back to the natural, because there's usually products, especially facial products and stuff. Today they're talking about Garnier. Tomorrow they're talking about La Roche. So people will be like, Sasa, which one do you use? You know. But if it's someone who has maybe consistently been talking about a product and a brand, then or a specific thing, I am a naturalist. I use natural products. So if your products is around sheer naturals, people that have been
Mm.
natural, then people will be like, oh, okay, this makes sense. But this person also as an influencer, I think that's a topic for another day of how are
Yeah.
jumping from one ship to another and eroding trust. But yeah, as a SMEs, you have to be really careful. Let me just say, influencer marketing is very powerful, but you have to be really careful who you're choosing. You'd rather have someone who has a smaller following, but their loyalty is high, because they start building brand trust, and that content you can use to grow it through advertising, paid ads, and you can showcase that to many more people. But they build trust, especially with your audience. Yeah. And also another opportunity, sorry, I've just thought about another opportunity is if you are trying to go regional, and then so maybe look for an influencer that kind of has some regional influence across borders, and see how you can cut across the region. That is also another way to use influencers and to build awareness and trust across the region. Mm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We even on full internet, honestly. Does not make sense. Anyway, moving
Pole
on.
sana. Yeah.
Now we have to move, we'll move from where there's good light to somewhere else. So let's think through about practical implementation. So, what are some of the affordable strategies that small businesses can adopt to boost sales through social media? Maybe you can just share one.
Mm. So um I think one is create your WhatsApp catalog. As I said, WhatsApp is really across with many audiences and many people. So you can create a WhatsApp product catalog, you know, have someone manning that so that they're able to be quick and reply. And this is something you can put your WhatsApp number on your Instagram and on your Facebook, that can drive people into that space. So I think WhatsApp is a good way and quick way to respond to people. And so you can link it to your Facebook and your Instagram, and so that people are driven to that if they want to have a conversation, if they want to order, and that's where they'll see the product catalog, they'll see the pricing, and they'll see everything. So drive your audience from Facebook and Instagram into WhatsApp, where you can now quickly convert them and have those conversations. Another one for the region, use big platforms like maybe Jumia, which is in Kenya, Nigeria, and the other different African countries. List your products on Jumia as an e-commerce platform. Utilize the e-commerce platforms that are across many countries where you can list your products. And the same case here, you can drive them back into the conversation can then be taken back into WhatsApp. So I think build your WhatsApp, because that's where you can close the conversation from across multiple social media platforms. So put your content on the social media platforms, but then have a link if want to talk or converse. Then put the link in the bio for WhatsApp, and then you can now drive people to WhatsApp, and then they see the catalog and they see what's there, and you can converse and close. So I think that's my biggest tip I would give for businesses.
Mm. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like the practicability of that one, of the one you've said, that you actually use the local e-commerce platforms, because many
Yeah.
times when you're trying to go across Africa, you're jumping to those ones and you've not even settled in your home. So even when we're looking for your product here, we can't find it.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, oh, this maybe is a
Mm.
con. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
list yourself across, especially in trusted platforms, as you said.
Yeah.
So, but I also will say you can converging everyone. Then in WhatsApp, you also kind of have a control, and
Yeah.
you put your product catalog. Everything is there. People can ask questions. You can have a conversation with people on WhatsApp. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm,
Okay, let's think through technology and innovation.
yeah.
So, what do you see as an emerging trend? Just
Mm-hmm.
one in social
Mm,
commerce, and how can businesses leverage this particular trend for their growth?
yeah. Mm, I'm trying to think for and looking at it from a regional, I think also looking at it from a regional perspective,
Mm.
there is a growth in platforms like what's it called? Uh, that allows you to open a shop. I don't want to use the wrong term, but I think it's Shopify, where it's in
Mhm.
many regions. So it's an app where you can create a kind of a mini website or a landing page where now people can be driven into.
Mhm.
So I think for me, I would look at an emerging trend with be something that goes across cross-border selling. Don't look at just a trend that is happening in your country. Look at something
Mhm.
that can go across the region, Allow me to just quickly confirm. Yeah, I think it's Shopify, where you can create, like a small mini website where you can put your products, and this is across Africa. It's an e-commerce platform. It's not as it's not expensive. You can customize it to your brand, to everything, and then this is what you can use to drive sales across different regions. And this content can be pushed on your, what is this called, through your social media, and then it drives down in Shopify. But I find Shopify such an interesting way to be across borders, because anyone can find it. It's not just your country, and then you can now push that. But I think that's the trend I've been seeing: small businesses kind of creating like mini, not a a very simple website with their products, and that also helps to drive across. And also in a way, because you can own, it's yours, you can customize. It also gives you some form of control as compared to the social media pages where you're really not an owner. You just your page can be closed tomorrow, so because of any reason. So I think having a platform like Shopify where you have your products then
Yeah.
also kind of helps to prevent those kind of things. Yeah.
Mm,
And use
that's a
AI.
good
Use
one. So let's
AI.
think now. Yes, our animal. Yes, 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 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for chatting.
Um,
Let me
let's
give
think.
AI, you can use,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, for AI, you can use it for, queries, simple queries. You can kind of give it chatbots. So you can give it simple responses before it kind of, maybe it's at night, it's the evening, you're not available online, and
Yeah,
maybe another actually available. So you can use it
yeah,
to kind of quote unquote customer service and say we'll get back to you. The way even in WhatsApp these days it can give you a message that
yes.
says you're closed, we'll get back to you tomorrow. So utilize those
Mm,
resources so a consumer doesn't feel
yeah,
ignored. So if I go on your page and I'm asking you, oh, hi, then you'll be like, oh, no, if you send me the message, I'm not available. I'll reach out to you in the morning. Then I'll be like, okay, I'll not feel like you're ignoring me. So utilize that to be able to just converse with your consumers and keep them engaged. I didn't want to forget that one.
thank you for remembering it.
Yeah.
Let's think through some challenges and maybe a solution. So,
Yeah.
what do you see are one or two biggest obstacles African businesses face when using social media or for sales, and how can they overcome them?
So one I think is social media especially has, as I said, a lot of changing algorithms. Today this can work, tomorrow this is not working, tomorrow your account has been closed, you have to open a backup. I think not being fully reliant, and that's what I was saying, platforms like Shopify, or if you can create there, I think there are very many upcoming where you can create a simple
Mm,
website, that you use maybe Facebook for awareness, and then you can drive so that you're not completely losing out. If a page is closed and all those things, or maybe an algorithm is changed and now people can't find you. So utilize that, and I think layer that with WhatsApp.
mm,
So, and that's what I was saying also, just in terms of an affordable use WhatsApp. So look for a platform where it's yours and you own, kind of quote unquote, because at Shopify you kind of pay for that space
mhm,
and that website and that link. Then that's where your
mhm,
products are. So you can be driving all your
mhm,
consumers there, and then you can utilize WhatsApp to converse or to close this.
mm.
I think it's not relying on the platform 100%, because things change. We've seen people on
Yeah.
IG crying that they have lost a page with 1 million followers. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You don't own the platform. You don't own. So it's good to also realize that you need your own kind of space where you can take people to see your product. Use the
Mm,
media for
yeah.
awareness, engagement, and people seeing how to use the product, but try and drive now that traffic to close on a different platform, or where they can see more of what you sell. So I think don't be fully reliant on social media alone. Have a backup. Always have something where you can also utilize in case something happens. Um, then I think the other thing would be biggest obstacle. I think when it now comes to what we're seeing kind of people trying to resolve, but when it comes to cross-border payments, there's always been an issue with cross-border payments. And so we are seeing a growth in that space. Maybe companies like Flutterwave, I think also now M-Pesa, you can do cross-border payments with the you can do cross-border payments. Companies like Flutterwave that offer you like a payment platform, Paystack, that can allow people from outside outside the country to pay. So I think that's also usually another big challenge, is cross-border payments and what currency to use. So I think also kind of looking at the options and you have it. As mentioned, maybe things like Flutterwave, Paystack are there. They're linked to your website, or they can be linked to, how you link it to WhatsApp so that people can pay. So finding those local solutions, Africa solutions for your payment, because there are many coming up to allow for cross-border payments, can really help you. That, and finding a way to deliver to your customers. Find a solution on how the products will get to customers, especially if it's a physical product, is also a big challenge. So I think, those would be my three. They don't fully depend on social media. Find a way where you can also put your content. The second one will be find solutions for payments, for cross-border payments. And then the other thing is find a way of how you're going to deliver your products. There are, up and coming people that take products across Africa, delivery across Africa. So, find the affordable solutions that you can utilize, that can take across. I think East Africa, we are lucky there is buses. So people utilize the buses to go to Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda. So there's kind of like that already kind of informal transport delivery system. But maybe if you're going to Nigeria and all those, West Africa, South Africa, what do you have available for delivery? So I think those will be my biggest obstacles, but kind of they're already upcoming solutions. So I think it's finding what fits your pocket and also what is good for you, depending on your product and what you're selling.
Thank you for that. I like the last point when you've talked about, especially like the local delivery. How will we actually get your products? I think we're so focused so much on looking for the bigger channel intermediary, the wholesaler. Well, the way you've actually now broken it down, what about how does it just get to the customer directly? Simple, straightforward. Who's going to handle that last mile?
That last mile is important. Yes.
Yeah. All right. For sure. All right. Thank you, Barbara, for that insightful conversation. And thank you all for your presence and having been with us throughout. So let's keep the conversation going. So remember that our weekly Founders Conversations are just one of the many ways SME Founders Association connects you to money, markets, and mentors, preparing you to grow within a supportive community of doers and dreamers. Sign up for just 5,000 shillings a year and be part of the movement where your next opportunity could be just one conversation away. Kindly get in touch with us through www.smefoundersassociation.com or send us an email at hello@smefoundersassociation.com. And I've been your host, Catherine Karaoke. Until next Thursday, for more insights and strategies on business marketing. So remember, there's a quote I'm giving you from Jay Bear who says, "Content is fire and social media is gasoline." Thank you so much and have a great week ahead. Thank you.